Welcome to the Valareso Capital community, where we discuss the stock market and trading strategies to become a consistently profitable trader and investor. Hey guys, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's video, we're gonna go through the market update and we're also gonna take a look at the weekly watch list. Remember guys that this video is for informational purposes only, is based just on my personal opinion and is not financial advice. So let's jump directly here into the charts. Some pretty crazy action, the one that we had in the last couple of weeks. Basically for this month of November, it has been pretty awesome. And remember guys that in last video we were talking of a possible power trend in the market. Of course that power trend began on the beginning of the month, but I do think that we're gonna see continuation into December, and I think that we're gonna see continuation into the mid of January. Things are looking pretty bullish. A lot of gap ups are working. We're gonna take a look at some of those setups, and then of course let's start here. So let's jump, let's just remember what we were talking about in last video. In last video we were talking about the possibility of just a continuation to the upside, right? We were talking about the possibility of the market basically continue to go into the upside. We were talking about that there was no need to short the market, that the strength and the path of least resistance continues to be to the upside, and that's exactly what we got, right? We have right here in the charts, I have a chart of the equal weighted S&P 500, and you can see that we had a huge gap up last week. It was actually pretty interesting, and we just continue to power to the upside, right? I want to take a look at this chart for a moment because we are right here at this 200 daily moving average. This 200 daily moving average is actually a pretty important level in the equal weighted S&P 500, because you can see that here it was support, then of course it broke, the support broke, and now I think that there's a really big possibility that we're gonna have this as a short-term resistance level. Now when I say a short-term resistance level, I'm not talking about something like the market is going to go to that level and then get rejected. I'm not talking about that. I actually think this is a pretty interesting level for the market to take a breather. A lot of people are talking about seasonality, and seasonality is pretty strong, but if we actually look at seasonality for the upcoming weeks of November, we tend to see a little bit of weakness. And by weakness, I don't mean a pretty substantial pullback or anything like that, but we tend to see kind of a resting period for the market before a continuation to the upside. And I think that if the market is going to do that, this is going to be a really important level for the market to do that kind of action. So let's just cover a couple of indexes before we continue with that thesis. So the first is going to be the S&P 500 equal weighted. If we take a look at the SPX, which is going to be the normal weighted SPX, you're gonna see right here that we are at this very important level in the market, somewhere around 4,500. This was actually a pretty strong rally coming all the way from 4,100 to 4,500. So that's a huge move. You can see that we have this gap to the upside, and of course the gap is holding, right? You can see that if we have an anchor VWAP zone, you can see that we continue to hold this zone and we continue to move to the upside. Now the question is this kind of a resistance zone in the market? I actually don't know, right? But I see that we are overbought, and you can see what happens when we are overbought or when we are oversold, right? When we were oversold, we get these rallies to the upside, right? Rallies to the upside, huge rally to the upside, and the same happens when we are overbought, right? The moment we start to get overbought, we tend to see pullbacks in the market. There's another one here, and we tend to see these pullbacks in the market. Now the question is, are we going to see a huge pullback? I actually don't think that we're going to see a huge pullback. I think that the longer the market continues to hold this gap, the pullback is not going to be that deep, because you can see that the anchor VWAP zone that we have anchored to this low right here continues to rise with the price. So this tends to be a correction via time, not a correction via price. So that's actually pretty important to understand. I think that if we happen to see a pullback in price, I think that the pullback is just gonna come, and I actually think that the gap is gonna hold. At the beginning I was thinking about that probably we're gonna come all the way to close that gap, But as the week continues to develop, you can see that we continue to hold that gap. So any pullback into this gap support, I think that's probably the most that we're gonna get into the market. You can see also that the 8 exponential, which is the top of the levels that I have here, is the 8 exponential moving average. You can see that the 8 exponential moving average is also continues to rise with this anchor VWAP zone. So I think that any pullback into this area is going to be the pullback that we're going to get before we continue to the upside, to be honest. And I think that we're definitely going to take out those highs that we make on July before August, before that correction that we saw in August. So the market is looking pretty bullish. I don't think there's enough meat to short this market. Just continue to buy the market, to be honest. That is a little bit tough to buy the market up here, but the market just continues to look awesome, right? If we take a look at the QQQs here, the QQQs are also holding. You can see that the anchor VWAP zone continues to catch up with price, also the 8 exponential moving average. And yeah, we're right below this 387 level, but I think we're probably headed to 400, to be honest. The market is looking pretty bullish. So also, besides the indexes, we can take a look at some of the gaps that are holding in the market, right? We can take a look at DKNG, right? DraftKings here, we have this gap in earnings. You can see how beautifully this anchor VWAP zone continues to hold. This name continues to go to the upside. Another name that comes to mind, PLTR, Palantir, also the same thing, right? We had this huge gap in earnings, and you can see how beautifully this anchor VWAP zone continues to act as support, and we just continue to move to the upside. Trying to think about another one. I think NET or DDOG, I think, was the one that was coming to mind. You can also see DDOG, beautiful, how this anchor VWAP zone held as support. Now we continue to move to the upside. I think NET also had a gap to the upside. Not exactly a gap, but we also had a nice reaction. And you can see that we're also moving higher here. So the point that I'm trying to make is that the stocks are moving higher. The price in the stocks are actually really positive, meaning that it's really bullish. And then the indexes are also holding pretty well. So the market is bullish. The market is in a power trend. The market most likely will continue to go higher. So the thing is, have a really strong watch list and be ready to put some money into work. So one of my favorite sectors, and we're going to start to move into the weekly watch list part of the video. I'm watching Bitcoin pretty closely. If you want to trade Bitcoin directly, you can do it. This one is looking pretty awesome. The way I'm going to trade this possible move in Bitcoin all the way to 40,000 is going to be through Mara. We have Mara, Coin, we have RIOT, we have MSTR. We're going to take a look at those setups, which are looking pretty bullish. But Bitcoin is holding pretty well, right? You can see right here how we flag. We moved to the upside. We came back. We tested the 21 exponential moving average. And now we just continue to move to the upside. You can see how beautifully we are holding that anchor VWAP zone, anchor from this low right here. And Bitcoin, right, so far, a little bit, pausing a little bit into these Fibonacci resistance zones, which is the 0.50% to 61.8%, just measure from this high to this low right here. You can see that we're pausing a little bit there, but at any point, if we break above it, I think that we will just continue to move to the upside. So my favorite setups going into next week, let's jump into Mara here. This one is looking great. I do have a position in Mara. I added to that position on Thursday, and this one is looking beautiful, right? You can see how we hold that 30 daily moving average. We continue to hold that 21 exponential moving average as well. We're basically continue to hold all the key exponential moving average, right? You can see how beautifully we are trending. We have positive momentum. We have a squeeze. We continue to see sellers at that 200 daily moving average, but you can see that the pullbacks continue to be higher and higher. We continue to make higher lows into resistance, and that usually means that we're probably going to see a breakout pretty soon in Mara. First target in Mara is going to be this Fibonacci 1272 extension, and then of course the 1618 extension will be the second target in Mara, looking pretty amazing. And I also have a position in Coin. Coin is also looking fantastic. We were talking about a little bit of a pullback. We got the pullback into that anchor VWAP zone. I got my position. 94.65. That was actually a pretty good entry. And now Coinbase, this one just looks ready, right? It looks ready to break to the upside. I do think that coin at this point, we're probably gonna test this 114.43 level, but of course short-term target is gonna be this 1272. Next target is gonna be the 1618 extension. These extensions are just Fibonacci levels measured from this high right here to this low right here, and then you get the target zone. So this one is looking pretty nicely. And then I was talking about MSTR, also looking pretty amazing. You can see how we continue to hold into this right side of the base. Look how amazingly this anchor VWAP zone worked as a pullback. And it's pretty easy, right? The only way you do it, guys, you just look for the most recent swing, you anchor a VWAP, and then you use the, let me show you how I do it pretty quickly, and then I'm gonna do a video about it. It's actually a pretty strong tool. So you just go to the anchor VWAP, and then you just look at these lower bands that you have right here, and then in the inputs, depending on the ADR of the stock, you just look somewhere between half. That's kind of my rule of thumb. For example, if the ADR of this stock is 5%, then I'm gonna look for something about like 2 to 2.5% of the ADR, and then I would just look to create a band. Let me just change this. Then I'm gonna just look to create a lower band, and that usually is a great way to create a zone and not just like a moving average. So that way you can create a zone, and that zone usually is a pretty amazing level to buy, and also is a pretty important level that acts as resistance. So MSTR also looking amazing. And then let's take a look at RIOT. RIOT is also looking pretty well. RIOT lagging a little bit, but this one is looking great. You can see that we have the squeeze, we have the momentum that is turning positive, and then you can see that RIOT is starting to respect this 50 daily moving average. You can see that the 50 daily moving average was trending to the downside. We're starting to see this 50 daily moving average start to slope to the upside, and you can see how buyers are stepping to defend that 50 daily moving average. So at this point, I do think that RIOT is gonna go to the is gonna probably move to the upside with the other names. But if we happen to see a little bit more consolidation, I'll be looking to buy RIOT, and of course looking for a target to test this height somewhere around 12. So those are gonna be my favorite names. My focus is gonna be in these Bitcoin related names, but then of course some other names that I'm gonna be watching is gonna be a net. This one is looking just fantastic, guys. This name continues to make 52-week highs. If we happen to see any pullback into this anchor VWAP zone, that's gonna be the place that I'm gonna be looking to buy this name. And then of course I'm also gonna be watching Tesla. Let me show you some of those setups. I'm also gonna be watching Tesla. And Tesla is looking great, right? If we can see a little bit of consolidation in Tesla somewhere around this level, I think it's gonna get ready to test this level right here, somewhere above 250. And then I'm also watching IWM, looking to play this one with TNA, which is the 3x leverage ETF, and this one is also looking great. If we happen to see some pullback next week, if we happen to retest this anchor VWAP zone, that's gonna be the place that I'm gonna be looking to buy some TNA. I'm probably gonna buy it with some size, because this one is looking pretty amazing as well. So that's gonna be basically it for the video, guys. The market is looking pretty strong. Don't be surprised if we happen to see a little bit of a pullback, but that pullback should just, at this point, I think that pullback probably is gonna last 1 day or probably 2 days at most. And my expectation is that if we happen to see any retracement, we're most likely gonna hold this gap right here. So be ready, have your watch list ready, and I think that this is gonna be a really nice window to make a lot of money. So that's gonna be it for the video, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Have an amazing weekend, and I will see you on future videos. And also, guys, remember, if you find any value in this video, remember to subscribe to the channel. I will see you in future videos, guys. Take care. Bye bye.